Welcome back to the WellBeing Check. I'm Stephanie Cunningham, spiritual life coach, Reiki master, and someone who has been burned out. Completely, thoroughly, can't fake it anymore, burned out. So today's topic is personal. That's right, we're talking about burnout. And I want to start by reframing it because I think we've been taught to treat burnout like a productivity problem. Like the solution is a better morning routine or a weekend off or finally getting your inbox to zero. Like if you just manage your time a little better, this wouldn't be happening. Oh man, that's triggering. That's not what burnout is. Burnout is a message, a loud, hard to ignore message from your body, your mind, your soul, that something is out of alignment and that something needs to change. Not your to-do list, something deeper. The question is, are you willing to listen? Or are you just going to keep pushing through until your body makes the decision for you? Because it will. Let's talk about it. First, let's name it. Because one of the sneakiest things about burnout is that it doesn't always look like what we expect. We think burnout looks like collapsing dramatically on the couch and refusing to move. And sometimes it does, but more often it's subtler than that. And you know that. It creeps up on you. Here's what burnout can look like. You feel cynical about work, about people, about things you used to care about. Everything feels a little pointless. You're going through the motions, but the meaning has just completely drained out of your body. A lot of times you feel it physically. Exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix, headaches, a tightness in your chest that shows up out of nowhere. Your body is carrying what your mind is refusing to acknowledge. And of course, yes, your productivity tanks, but not because you're lazy, because you're running on empty and there is genuinely nothing left in the tank to give. You sit down, you do the work, and just can't. You feel indifferent, apathetic. Things that used to excite you feel flat. You're not sad, you're just numb, disconnected, like you're watching your own life through glass. And that's not something an antidepressant is going to fix. For me, I get scattered, forgetful. I start dropping balls that I can normally juggle with ease, and there's a tightness in my chest, that low-grade panic that something's wrong, even when I can't name what it is, which I usually can't at the beginning. And that's my signal. That's my body saying, Stephanie, stop. Something needs attention here. But everybody has a different signal, and it's important to know what your signal is, because burnout is individual. It doesn't show up the same way for everyone. Some people might get irritable. Some get quiet. Some get sick over and over because the immune system is the first thing to go when we're running hot for too long. Learning to recognize your pattern is one of the most important things you can do for yourself regarding burnout. Here's what I want you to sit with. Burnout doesn't happen overnight. It builds slowly, quietly. It's the accumulation of weeks or months or even years of ignoring the signals, of pushing through, of telling yourself you'll rest when things slow down, and things never slow down. By the time it hits hard, you've been running on fumes for longer than you realize, which is exactly why awareness is the first and most important tool in your toolkit. Have you recognized a pattern over these last several podcasts? Awareness. Awareness is the first and most important tool in your toolbox. So before we get into some practices regarding burnout, I want to make the distinction that I think is genuinely important and that most people blur together. Self-care and stress management are not the same thing. Stress management is reactive. It's what you do when the stress is already happening, the breathing techniques, the walk around the block, the call to a friend, taking a break when you're feeling overwhelmed. It's wading through a stressful moment while you're in it. okay? Reaching for the tools that can help you cope right now. It is absolutely necessary, and it absolutely has its place. But self-care is proactive. It's not the bubble bath that you take after you've completely fallen apart. It's the ongoing daily practice of understanding how you work, what you need, what drains you, what fills you up, and making decisions that honor that consistently, not just when you're in crisis. Self-care is saying yes when you mean yes, no when you mean no, before the resentment builds. That's right, before the resentment, the contempt builds. It's choosing the people, places, and things that feel good instead of just tolerating the ones that don't. It's managing your energy, your time, your emotional reserves as a regular practice, not as an emergency measure. Both matter, of course, but self-care is the foundation, because without it, you're always playing catch-up, always in stress management mode, reactive, depleted. But with it, you build the kind of inner stability that doesn't collapse every time life gets hard. See the difference? And no, I know you're asking in your head or out loud, it's not selfish. It's literally how you stay functional enough to show up for the people and the work that you care about. You cannot pour from an empty cup, right? We say this all the time, and we still just don't believe it applies to us. Believe me, it applies to us, to you, to me. It applies. It applies. All right, so here are 6 concrete practices, not fluffy suggestions, things you can actually do, okay? First, know your limits and work within them. This sounds simple, and it is so hard. Do you actually know how you function? What fuels you? What drains you? At what point do you hit a wall energetically, emotionally, physically? I know I talk about this all the time because it's important. Here's the thing. No amount of healthy eating, good sleep, or positive thinking is going to help you when you're fundamentally working against your own nature. If you're an introvert running at extrovert speed, you'll burn out. If you're a person who needs downtime to recharge and you never build it in, you'll burn out. If you're ignoring your body's signals day after day, they will eventually get loud enough that you can't. Think of it like your phone. You upgrade the operating system with a new one when a new one drops, right? Well, sometimes we do. Because the upgrade makes the device run more efficiently, more smoothly, that uses resources better. Well, if you'll upgrade your phone so it works better, why not apply that same logic to yourself? Self-awareness is the upgrade. Knowing how your personal operating system runs best, when you're the sharpest, when you need rest, what kind of input energizes you and what depletes you, that all allows you to use your resources more effectively. That's not indulgent, that's smart. All right, next, build a support network, like a real one, okay? Not just people who will agree with you and tell you you're doing great. People who will lovingly, honestly tell you when they see you're going off the rails. I have a handful of people in my life who have my explicit permission to ask, hey, are you okay? I've been, noticing some things. And when they ask, my job is, which I'm still working on, full transparency, is to not immediately say, I'm fine. My job is to ask them what they've been seeing, to actually listen. That's right, listen. That's it. That is a true gift. Having someone who knows you well enough and cares about you enough to hold up a mirror when you can't see yourself clearly. Find those people, give them permission, and then, and this is the hard part, actually let them use it. Don't get pissed off because they're trying to communicate with you. And think about making this proactive, not just reactive. Don't wait until you're in crisis to lean on your people. Check in. Create space to talk about what's hard before it becomes an absolute collapse. The conversations are lighter when they happen before the pressure reaches critical mass, right? Okay, 3. Practice self-care like you mean it. We've all heard this. Most of us are not doing it. Not really, anyway. Not consistently, proactively, and not in ways that actually go below the surface. Okay? Here's what real self-care looks like. It's working with yourself, not against yourself. It's making choices every day, big and small, that align with who you are and what you actually need, not what you think you're supposed to need. Did you get that? Not what you think you're supposed to need. Not what worked 5 years ago. What works now for the version of you that exists today. I know I spent years being overly adaptable, bending myself to fit situations, people, expectations, without a strong sense of self to know where I ended and everyone else began. People pleasing, yes, but also just losing track of myself in the process of living. That erosion is slow. You don't notice it happening until one day you look up and you realize you have no idea what you actually want. Can you even answer that question right now? Self-care is how you stay anchored, and there's a ripple effect that doesn't get talked about enough. When you model this, when the people around you see you choosing yourself, setting limits, living well, they learn that it's possible. You give them permission to do the same thing. So that influence extends farther than you could possibly know. That's pretty cool. 4, maintain balance between your humanness and your spirit. We all have 2 sides. The human side, the part that needs stability, security, structure, the part focused on survival, money, shelter, fitting into the world, doing the right things. This part values rules and certainty. And then there's your spirit, your internal spark, the part of you that wants joy, passion, wonder, meaning. The part that knows there's more to life than checking boxes and paying bills. The part that gets restless when you ignore it for too long. And these sides can feel like they're in conflict. And honestly, sometimes they are. The human side wants the safe choice. The spirit wants the true choice. The work is finding the balance where both feel honored. Not perfectly, because life isn't perfect, but intentionally. When you tilt too far toward pure survival mode, always practical, always responsible, never asking what feels good or meaningful, you starve your spirit. And a starved spirit is one of the fastest routes to burnout, I know. Because you can grind through almost anything when it matters to you. When it stops mattering, you're in trouble. 5, seek growth, expansion, and fun. Oprah said it. It can be really scary to radically change how you understand the world, but it can lead you in thrilling directions. Fun, growth, novelty, these aren't luxuries. They're maintenance. That's spirit maintenance. When we stop learning, stop playing, stop letting ourselves be surprised by life, we get rigid. We get stale. We get burned out. I'm not talking about some big dramatic life overhaul. Start small. Listen to music instead of a podcast on your commute. Take a different route. Dance in your kitchen while you're making dinner. Say yes to the thing you've been curious about but haven't tried. Sign up for the class, read the book, go do the thing, okay? Your brain genuinely needs input to stay healthy and engaged. New experiences activate different neural pathways, spark different conversations, open different doors, even tiny ones. The goal is to keep moving, keep expanding, keep refusing to let your world get too small. That becomes dangerous. 6, and this is the last one, create a healthy relationship with work. Okay. The hustle culture has sold us some very convincing lies. That your value is tied to your productivity, that downtime is weakness, that sacrifice is virtue, that you should always be available, always be grinding, always be giving more. And we bought it. It's on our throw pillows and our coffee mugs. And of course, on our Instagram feeds. And underneath all that shiny girl boss energy, it's a belief system that is genuinely making people sick. You need boundaries between work and life. Not because you don't care about your work, but because you do care about your work and you do want to be able to keep showing up for it without burning out. Boundaries are what make sustainability possible. When I was still in corporate, I was in the office by 7:20 and I left at 5. Hard stop. I came in early so I could ease into my day, get ahead of what I needed, and then leave on time without feeling guilty. I also took my work email completely off my personal phone. Not everyone can do that, I know, but I could, and it changed everything about how I felt at home. What does a boundary look like for you? Maybe it's not checking messages after 7 p.m. Maybe it's a true lunch break where you actually eat and step away. Maybe it's one evening a week that is completely yours. Whatever it is, name it, protect it, and stop apologizing for it. Here's the bottom line. Burnout is not a badge of honor. It's not proof that you care deeply or work hard. It's a signal, sometimes a quiet one, sometimes a screaming one, that something needs to change. The question is not whether you'll hit a wall. Most of us will at some point. The question is whether you're paying enough attention to catch it early on. Whether you have the self-awareness to recognize your own signals. Whether you've built the practices, not just the emergency measures, but the daily habits that will keep you from running on empty in the first place. Know your limits. Build your people. Practice real self-care. Honor both your humanness and your spirit. Keep growing and draw a line between work and the rest of your life and mean it. And remember, the 3 things that always bring me back when I'm off: awareness, energy management, and connection. Be aware of how you're feeling and why. Be proactive about managing your energy, not just reactive when it's already gone. And stay connected to yourself, to your people, to whatever source of inspiration and meaning keeps you going. Those 3 things, practiced consistently, are the foundation of a life that doesn't run you into the ground. You deserve to feel good, not just functional, not just getting through. Actually, genuinely, deeply good. That's what we're going for here. That's always what we're going for. I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, be well, and this time really mean it. Be well.